Jade acting up like that in my that's not okay for me. If she has a problem, she should have talked about it with me earlier. For me, that's an issue. I'm a very I like structure and I'm a structured guy. Sometimes it gets to a point where it's principalistic for the sake of being principalistic. But when I'm telling her to leave, it has nothing to do with me actively trying to push her out. It ain't about that. And when people ain't speaking up, and people have been talking about a thing a certain way, it makes me feel like the bad guy. But when I bring up the points as to why I think I'm doing things in the correct way, everyone agrees with it.
Yeah, but once you leave, it changes, right? And I don't think she was necessarily acting up.
Are you saying that once I leave, you guys say, "Oh, AK so wrong for that"?
100%. That's what you're saying. Before. There's a lot of stuff that happens like that. The moment that you're not there,
when has it ever happened where?
It's been a couple of times.
Please name them.
I've told this to AK before too when we spoke one-on-one. I said, when you're around, the opinion on a lot of different things are different than when you are here. And it applies to this shit too. And I don't know why it is. And she was right in that sense that when people don't talk to you about things they disagree on or things that they have a different opinion on. And I don't know if it's because they're afraid. I don't know nothing. And I'm not saying that you're the one doing anything out of a personal spite or anything. No, it had nothing to do with that. I know your perspective. I know why you do the things that you do. And I know you have good intentions. But if no one tells you that there's something wrong or they have a different opinion, you don't know any better either at that point. So I'm not saying that you're at fault for things. We're all at fault for it.
Okay, guys, I'm gonna be fully transparent here because this is actually pissing me off. Am I getting gaslit here? What the fuck?
I'm a bunch of, I don't know what he's talking about. I'm gonna be real.
What the fuck is actually going on?
I don't know what he's talking about.
World
I've never heard that.
Future Peter,
I mean, I told you.
We talked about it earlier.
Yeah, we literally talked about it earlier. I literally said, I thought she was getting treated wrong, and I said a bit I talked to Julian about it, and we agreed that all this wouldn't be a problem if she was in the crew. And I said this earlier. Her being in the crew is a different discussion.
No. What I'm asking is this shit that we're talking about right now. It's the reality of the situation that we have meetings and I say shit and people don't disagree, but as soon as I leave, they disagree.
I don't think that's ever happened.
I don't know what the fuck.
I don't think disagreeing.
I think it not necessarily a hard disagree at times. It's more so a difference in opinion, right, or a different vision on things, and they tend to seek your approval and stuff and your opinion on things.
If that's the case, I'm not really I can't be doing this then. I can't be helping steer this shit if that's the case. I can't go around and second guess my own opinion. It's just not gonna work.
You don't have to. People just gotta speak up when they.
But what are you talking about? You still don't explain what. The only time anything like this has ever happened, and we already spoke about it, was with not telling people to leave meetings. That's the only time. When is the other time it's happened?
Yeah, you're making it seem like there's a lot of things.
You're making it sound like it happens every single. When has this ever happened? You're just speaking nonsense.
All right, I'll think back of all the times that I can recall, and I'll let you know when I have it all.
You do that. Think back, make a list.
Yeah, I will. I'm not a fucking walking Wikipedia on every past event and
right. But if you bring up a point like this, this is like a big problem.
It's a general problem.
Though. No, okay. Wait, this is a major problem, and you can't name a single time.
I can. I mean, for example, the start of the whole weed thing. How we had a whole plan, and then it came around and suddenly things were different.
No. So the weed thing. Let me explain the weed thing to you.
Just for example,
you, Ming, and whoever the hell else had a plan without speaking to anybody else, and then you told everyone, and people were like, okay, this is a good idea. And then when AK woke up, he raised good concerns. It wasn't like we had a meeting with AK and then changed our opinions afterwards. AK was knew about it after. It was already set in motion, right?
You were part of those talks as well. That wasn't just...
Yeah, but what I'm saying is you guys set that plan in motion without speaking to anyone, right? And then once people started waking up, they started bringing up points and okay, this is a problem that we didn't think about. And that's okay, we didn't think about this, right? It wasn't like we had a meeting with AK, with everybody else, with the whole crew, and then we changed our mind afterwards. You see what I'm saying? It's you and Ming just had to do something without speaking to anybody else.
I guess for me it becomes kind of difficult because I don't know if... Because I felt this way too, that a lot of times people come to me with an opinion. I'll either agree with them if I think it makes sense, or I'll disagree and I explain why I disagree. And most of the times people will agree because they see my point of view. But now I don't know if it's because I have generally a pretty logical take on things, or if it's because they're afraid to question me, and that makes me really question kind of myself here.
No, I don't think you have to question yourself. I don't think there's something you did particularly that's wrong. It's just it's just the classic shit, right? There's horrible comms with certain things.
But is it horrible comms, or is it the fact that, like what Forehead just said, that I'll wake up later and I'll have a different perspective on it, and people agree with that, and that's why they don't say anything about it.
And in that particular instance, that's what happened. Like the instance he named, where he's saying like, so what he's claiming is we have meetings, right? The crew, me, you, everyone involved, and then afterwards we change our mind. But in that particular instance, that's not what happened at all. Julian and Mink had an idea and went with it, told everybody else, and like, oh, yeah, this is a good idea. Then you woke up and then you said, well, this is a problem. And they're like, oh, this actually is a problem. We didn't think about it, right? It's not like we had a meeting prior to something happening and then changing our minds after the meeting. It's a completely different thing.
All right, fair. That's on me then for misunderstanding that situation.
I think the thing is, Julian, like when it comes to, I would have told her to leave every time if I was there every time. But because I am there one time and I tell her to leave, then I'm seen as the bad guy. But I would have done it every other time too. Like it wouldn't have changed. And I think because I wasn't there to do it every other time, and because no one else does it, then as soon as I do it, then that is the problem. And the like when we talked about that after, no one agreed that she should have been present. But because she had been present prior, it now is seen as a bad thing, because now it seems like I'm trying to push her out.
Yeah, I think from the beginning it's kind of been, there's different situations where she's 1 foot in, 1 foot out with certain stuff, and one day it's fine, other day it's not, and then over time it's like, okay, well, where does she stand, right?
Okay,
but between you and her, have you two been having a lot of conversations about this?
Not entirely. We've just been focused on the weed. Only times it's been brought up, it's been after things have happened, but it's not like a daily conversation. No.
Okay.
There's not much to talk about, you know. I'm just like, yeah, well, some of the stuff is crew stuff, some of the stuff isn't, and I try to explain to her that those things, and she
because it feels
understands.
like what just happened here was just a lot of bottled up emotion that probably was cultivated somewhere. Like I don't think that shit just happens out of the blue.
I disagree. I mean, I think from her perspective, she is kind of being yo-yoed back and forth, right? And she gets different vibes from different people depending on who's around at the time. So it's hard for her to kind of see as to, okay, well, what is expected of me and where do I stand? And for example, when you look at someone else that's in a, it's hard to, I'm trying to think of someone that I can compare it to, but there's no one in that position, I guess. But it's the same thing that, for example, when Future called us up and he wanted to have her do the warehouse thing, right? It's, you know, she was down to help, but then we were kind of told to wait until talks, which is completely fine. And I said to Future too, it's like, well, if there's an issue about trust or whatever, like, look, she doesn't give a fuck if she's in a gang or not. I don't give a fuck if she's in the gang or not. But if her being in the gang is the magic solution to like hitting this like this check mark of, oh, and suddenly now she's trusted with things, then have that be a thing, but it's not necessary, you know?
But no, my question is, why does she need to be present at every meeting that we have?
She doesn't have to be. But that's why I said when it comes to the Kaneshiro stuff, due to the past events that have taken place with conflict with them, and that being a Mirror Park, the grow house being there, she doing all the stuff that's in the grow house, she's immediately at risk and involved in the conflict.
But Julian, here's the thing: like, you're not necessarily wrong in what you're saying, but you're wrong in making that assumption and bringing her here without having a talk with us about it. That's where you're wrong.
Okay, fair. But that's why I asked when I came in, like, is this about the Kaneshiro stuff?
Yeah, but you are making the assessment that the Kaneshiro stuff is affecting her, and that might be true. But I feel like that's something we should talk about before bringing her in.
Yeah. Okay. Fair.
Because there's a lot of like in the grand scope of things, there's a lot of stuff that could be seen as something that affects the growing operation. You can make that claim for a lot of stuff, and I'm not necessarily saying that you're wrong, Julian. I just, again, this is the issue I had with you in like way back, and I told you this too. Is that I don't have a problem with what you do. It's sometimes how you do it, and this is one of those things.
Well, the one thing I will say though, in Julian's defense, I mean, we already spoke about this when he wasn't here, right? But like I said, right, she was at previous meetings, so I think I just assumed it was fine, right? And in reality, we should have made it clear from the get-go, right? I think it's all of our faults. But yeah, I mean, I think that's one part where we messed up, you know?
I mean, yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying, AK, but like I said, like we talked about this kind of shit yesterday in Future's house, and she was there the whole time. Half the stuff I know about them and the things happening up north, with the stuff I told Floyd about the all the drama before we even were told about it. She was there present for it. She told me most of the stuff that I learned. Like she's been very like, so I didn't see a problem with her being part of the conversation because she was here before in the same situation with no issues.
Yeah,
right?
I got you. But when I raised why I think it's a problem, then we should talk about it. She shouldn't storm off, and then it becomes this. Like that's not the way to solve these kind of things. There's a lot of people that can contribute good knowledge and stuff to a group. Like there's a ton of people. I have a lot of people that could flip the whole structure of this group and make shit work. But I don't bring them in here because we have our crew. And that's what we're working with. I understand that there are external tools that could increase our effectiveness by 5, 6, 10 times. But this is the crew that we're working with. These are the tools we have available. And that might change, but right now that's the situation. I don't know. I feel like what just happened was a crazy undermining situation. I don't like getting dealing with that shit because it makes me feel like I'm the bad guy when I logically feel like I'm not. I just happen to be someone that I'm not afraid for confrontation, and I'm a principalistic guy. Like I'll say something if I feel like it needs to be done. And if other people don't agree with it, I expect people to say something. And if they agree with something, then that's how we do it.
Yeah, but I don't think she was like the one pointing you out in specific. It was just
no. She was. What are you talking about?
No, but it was more of a group thing, right? Like the stuff that is happening, like I said before, is not necessarily your fault. It's the group as a whole's fault.
I mean, she was blaming it on him, but yeah, it's not his fault.
Yeah, because we're the ones not communicating with AK, so AK is like doesn't know any better, right?
Yeah, I guess you could see it from there's two sides of the coin. Like either it's the group's fault for not pushing in the same opinion, or it's my fault for trying to push the opinion. But for me personally, that's how I took it.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, like I said, to me, I don't really care that much about like what the fuck we do with her being in or out or this or that with gang shit. I don't think she gives a fuck either. She just wants to be included if she is, or if she's not, just let her know where she stands. Not have her be this yo-yo back and forth shit. That's all. Okay,
fair. So we set up more clear shit. That makes sense, I think.
Yeah. I of course, I am biased in a sense, but I also see both sides of things.